Hello guys, welcome to Ink 33. This channel contains the spoilers of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. If you have not watched the previous episode, Rimuru vs Yuki, first part, the link is down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe and also hit the bell icon for updates. Yuki released the joke inside his mind as he felt the place freeze. Now that he became the strongest, he almost achieved his objective. If so, he thought that it would be fun to see the bitter faces of his worthy opponents for a bit longer. If it was a month ago, he wouldn't have been able to fight even one of these difficult opponents directly. But he had no inferiority complex about that anymore. Instead, those powerful people made him feel excited, and the thought of plunging the world into chaos and making his enemies dance in the palm of his hand will give him supreme pleasure. However, all of Yuki's plans had ended in failure due to the presence of Rimuru, who stands in front of him. It had been a series of unexpected situations. When Yuki first met Rimuru in the Ingratiate Kingdom, he had felt an indescribable premonition. At that time, Yuki had sent Hinata at him as a safety measure, but Rimuru escaped with ease. It was unbelievable that the calm and vigilant Hinata could fail. And when Rimuru turned out to survive this encounter, Yuki acknowledged Rimuru as his enemy. From that point on, all of his plans have been crossed by Rimuru. However, Yuki didn't feel any anger regarding that matter. On the contrary, Yuki wanted to show his respect towards Rimuru's brilliant skills. Yuki made the decision to move personally for the first time when the situation on the board titled so much that he could not win, even if he unleashed all of the pieces in his hands. It wasn't like when he was playing around during his fight with Leon. Yuki seriously decided for the very first time in his life that he wanted strength. He estimated that it would take 1 month for him to unravel all that power. Meanwhile, he decided to let Belda be in the firing line and do as he pleased. Although Yuki's personality was more or less positioned at the top of the pecking order, because it was a mutual switch of beings on the same rank, once they switched places, he could not switch with Belda with just his own will. For this reason, this was a gamble for him. Belda's goal was also the collapse of the world, but the end result was different than Yuki's. Yuki's end goal was to return this world to nothingness, but Belda's was different. After the collapse, Belda wanted to try to create a new world with him as his god. From Yuki's point of view, that was a naive idea that he could not hold back his laughter when thinking about it. While thinking that Belda would fail anyway, Yuki gave his last order. Thus, the result was as Yuki had expected. Yuki was a genius, but he didn't obtain all of Beldanava's powers. As such, being able to control all of Beldanava's power was a lie. However, there was nothing that worried him, because it was true that he could use almost all of Beldanava's abilities. Yuki already had enough power to destroy this world. The mana skull Belda had the knowledge about all of the ultimate skills, but he didn't have the ability to recreate them. The reason was plain and simple: insufficient capacity. Yuki had analyzed every skill over a month's time and made a selection. He reduced ultimate skill, Greedy Lord Mammon, into energy existent value and tried to recreate the necessary skills. it became possible for him to perfectly recreate Creation Lord Ahura Mazda. However, there was also an ability that he could not recreate no matter how hard he tried. The ultimate and supreme ability called Null, which produced the primordial energy needed to create a world. But in the end, it was impossible for him to recreate it. Even if he could recreate the ability, he would only cause the energy to go amok and disappear if he didn't create a world like Bellanava did. After all, Null, as indicated by its name, was pure and super dense energy that destroyed everything. A super tier level ability that allowed the destruction of the existing world and even the creation of a new world. It was said that Bellanava lost Null after he created this world, and he was left with Magic Essence Breeder Reactor. Bellanava was the strongest existence because of this ability, which produced unlimited Magic Essence. Milim inherited the Magic Essence Breeder Reactor, making her the strongest. It was due to the byproduct of Magic Essence Breeder Reactor that she could control stardust that condensed from a Magic Essence. Yuki had recreated this ultimate power too. Yuki became a god-man and a spiritual life form. Therefore, based on Bella's knowledge, he created Magic Essence Breeder Reactor and completely controlled it. However, as it was, he didn't have enough capacity to use other abilities and became nothing but a race of melee. He could control the output like Guy, but then he wouldn't be able to surpass them. Yuki thought as much, so he came up with the idea of recreating the abilities and put them inside Bellanava's sword. Bellanava's sword was a crystallization of Bellanava's powers. It was the condensed form of half of Bellanava's maximum energy. Milim was supposed to inherit this sword of God someday. Hence, such a thing as recreating the abilities in Belda's memories was easy. Yuki had also dissembled his own ultimate skill, Creation Lord Ahura Mazda, and combined it with Belda's knowledge. Thus, origin skill, Information Ruler Akashi Records, was created. Install this origin skill into Bellanava's sword and tweak it so that any selected ability could be used at any time. Because it was drawn excessively for Yuki's use, it could not be used by Belda. Belda's role was to keep Magic Essence Breeder Reactor always in the optimal state, acting as a kind of permanent monitoring device. Thus, Yuki was reborn as an incarnation of absolute power that could freely use all abilities. Yuki was only wary of one person, only against Rimuru, who had a dumbfounded expression in front of him. This annoying monster always exceeded Yuki's assumptions. For this reason, there was no need for him to hold back. As soon as he determined that extent of Rimuru's capabilities, Yuki would need to use his strongest technique to get rid of him. They were equal in power. Yuki, who was a god-man and an awakened hero, was operating Magic Essence Breeder Reactor at its maximum output. And yet he couldn't surpass Rimuru's power. This was abnormal. This is troublesome. Seriously, I had thought that I would surpass him with a bit more power, but Yuki was advantageous in weapon performance, but he didn't know how things will turn out if the fight dragged on. Belda, I'm gonna use energy at full blast. Fill Bellanava's sword with power to the limits it can withstand. Yuki ordered Belda and attacked Rimuru with faster speed than before. However, Rimuru easily warded off his attacks. As if to not damage the sword, both of their swords were clad in energy which interfered with each other and caused heavy shockwaves. But they were like a bridge for Yuki and Rimuru. He reacted even to the assault just now? What? His reactions seem to be getting slower. Perhaps our showmanship is a tie, I guess. Yuki snapped his fingers. At the same time, the world stopped moving. Time had stopped. Time stop now! I think it's pointless. Yeah, I think that it's pointless too. You lying bastard! Your aim is probably to cross my fort, so you can fight advantageously. Ha 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 ha. As I expected, you figured it out. Yuki grinned and laughed. Easily stopped time with primitive magic. There were two reasons why he did so. The first one was just as Rimuru had said, to restrict emission type abilities. By narrowing the options that could be taken by Rimuru, who had various means of attacks, he could continue the fight advantageously. And above all else, it was for the best for him to stop time as to seal the ominous magic, such as the annular magic that Demon Diablo had shown a while ago. It was impossible to activate magic inside the suspended world. Yes, with the exception of primitive magic. Yuki created an environment where he could one-sidedly use magic while sealing off Rimuru's magic attacks. Burn brightly, O primordial flames! Yuki wished so, and simultaneously Rimuru was infused in flames. Whoa, how can you use magic while time was stopped? Just as he expected, Rimuru seemed to be unable to predict this attack. Yuki continuously manifested phenomenon by merely thinking of them, cornering him with flames, sealing his movement by hardening the ground. Sorbing the space, Rimuru was toyed around with by Yuki. This was his last resort. One of the trump cards that he thought surely would be effective. However, unfortunately, Yuki concluded that this primitive magic could not defeat Rimuru. Naturally, there was a very deep and calculative reason for why Yuki used primitive magic despite it not being able to deal the decisive blow. Yuki judged that Rimuru had a habit of constantly observing his opponent's attacks. It probably was a sign of his confidence that he could deal with any kind of attacks. But there was more than that. Yuki thought that came from Rimuru's innate naivety, as he wished to find out his enemy's true intentions and whether they could reach a mutual understanding or not. This time, Yuki made use of that habit. As he expected, Rimuru didn't use his full power from the start, so Yuki succeeded in activating Suspended World. If he used primitive magic in this stop time, Rimuru will very likely start to analyze his actions. Although primitive magic was Yuki's trump card, he could not beat Rimuru with it. Then, even if it was valuable, Yuki could use it as bait without problems. If I don't win this fight, there won't be a next time. That was Yuki's judgment. Although he was somewhat advantageous right now, Yuki thought that he wouldn't be stingy with what he got. That's because Yuki's wish could be achieved as long as he exhausted everything that he got and won against Rimuru. My enemy is Rimuru alone. Thinking as such, Yuki had evaluated Rimuru very highly. Just as Yuki planned, Rimuru seemed to be analyzing the primitive magic. Analyzing your foe's hands while in a fight could not be said to be wrong. However, being preoccupied with something tribal during a tight battle like the one Yuki and Rimuru were currently in was a bad move. Yuki had done various preparations since this battle began. No, even before it started. Naturally, while he was analyzing abilities inside Velda, Yuki had always been formulating plans on how he would eliminate his strongest rival. Even stopping time wasn't just for making himself have the upper hand by restricting Rimuru's abilities. Rather, Riku's aim was to make Rimuru think that His true aim of using time stop wasn't for such an insignificant reason. How naive, Yuki. I gradually got the hang of it. Don't think that you are the only one who can use magic while time is stopped. As Yuki had expected, no, even faster than expected, Rimuru seemed to have completed the analysis of the primitive magic. The primordial flame that Yuki had invoked without chanting were frozen by Rimuru just now. Yuki's will was offset by the conflict between fire and ice. Yuki thought that he had no choice but to smile wryly about this. One of his trump cards was nullified so quickly, even though time was stopped. However, even this was as Yuki planned. The katana crashed against the sword. Both sides fought with their sublime powers. In this situation, Yuki had succeeded in distracting Rimuru's consciousness even if it was just for a moment. I've been waiting for this moment. Yuki smiled. Then, as he clashed with Rimuru with all his power once again, Yuki put the final phase of his plan into motion. While enormous amount of energy clashed against each other and spread shockwaves, Yuki activated a magic spell formulation without chanting. Naturally, Rimuru, who had understood primitive magic, activated his own magic to deal with Yuki's magic and nullified it. Just as I expected, I had imagined that Rimuru-san would pick the correct response, exactly as I had foreseen. Although Yuki was satisfied, he felt slightly empty. He could read what his opponent was thinking this far, but he realized he could not understand him in the truest sense. After all, they were strangers to each other, so such a thing as understanding each other completely was nothing but a pipe dream. Yuki felt such a sentiment, but before he could understand that, he unleashed his last trump card. In the end, Yuki and Rimuru were enemies. Simultaneously, when Rimuru invoked magic nullification, Yuki activated the trick that he had put inside his prosthetic left hand. The arm smoothly transformed and unleashed the magic circles engraved on it at Rimuru. Then, the phenomenon was rewritten and converted into one magic spell. The ultimate magic arts that never could be activated by one person. Chrono-saltation. The ultimate super space-time magic that forced the target to leap to space where time had ended. The magic was formed by swallowing up all of the energy that filled the space and even the raging quakes in time. Then, with the immeasurable energy, it took Rimuru away to the end of time and space. Even all of Rimuru's clones were completely swallowed up by the space-time continuum. If the soul corridor wasn't closed, Rimuru's subordinates and even Belgrind might also become the target of the magic. All kind of resistance was futile against the terrifying and compelling force of this magic. Chrono-saltation was impossible to be activated Yuki alone. The reason was simple. It was a compound magic that required the activation of at least two or more magic at the same time. Moreover, the magic needed to be activated simultaneously by those with the exact same properties and qualities. What Yuki had put inside his prosthetic arm was a simple ultimate spell formula. The effect was a reversal. It was a spell formula to reverse the target's magic effect. Primitive magic was a magic that reflected the user's will, and it wasn't just activated because Yuki understood what kind of magic to use. Just by wishing it, the phenomenon was invoked. This characteristic was the reason why it was called as the ultimate magic. By limiting the magic that Rimuru could use with the time stop just now, Yuki was able to induce Rimuru to activate magic that he desired. The magic that Rimuru activated was simple and plain. That was nullification. It was impossible to stop the magic if Rimuru were to try to analyze the magic that Yuki activated. Given the time difference, the nullification wouldn't catch up at the same time as Yuki activated his magic. Yuki thought that way. Instead, Yuki induced Rimuru's thoughts while showing his trump card and directed Rimuru to act like that in this situation. Then, just as Yuki had planned, Rimuru will activate the magic. Everything was prepared by Yuki and he had forced Rimuru to act splendidly, exactly as he wanted. In the space where Gensi's class energy collided and space-time quacks occurred, Yuki had used space-time magic, time stop. Originally, there was no meaning of stopping time in suspended world. It was impossible to stop further of what had stopped. However, the circumstances were different this time due to Yuki's trick. In order to nullify Yuki's magic, Rimuru had activated magic that had the same energy but with the opposite properties of Yuki's magic. His magic was reversed by Yuki's trick and transformed to magic with the same energy and properties as Yuki's magic. By doing this, Yuki met the condition for activating Chronos Salutation. Even if he added time stop to another time stop, the effect wouldn't change. However, it will cause drastic change if he multiplied it. Bathed in the flow of all time and received the repulsion of the space that tried to fix itself, the target was sent to beyond time, to the end of time and space, a void in the far future where the end of time and space overlapped. If he could not defeat him, he only had to put off the issue. That was the decision Yuki had made. Rimuru was able to rival him, or maybe even surpass him. To fight head-on against a super-level being like Rimuru would be sheer stupidity. Their answer to that was sending Rimuru to the future and destroying the world in that chance. At the very end, the difficulty of the game to destroy the world, that used to be boring and easy, jumped up instantly. But Yuki only felt happiness now that he had cleared it. Yuki was very happy and showed a smile from the bottom of his heart. The time stop was cancelled at the same moment as Rimuru disappeared. Without waiting for anything, those left behind moved all together. Most of them didn't understand exactly what had happened in front of their eyes. However, the fact that Rimuru had disappeared was the only thing they could understand clearly. Well, I had sent the biggest obstacle for a trip to the future. This is a checkmate, right? Yuki declared while sprouting a faint smile. Hearing that, Milim sat down on the ground as if she was about to cry. Rimuru has disappeared! Ramirez was angry by the grieving motors of Milim. Without Ramirez herself being aware, a figure rapidly transformed into an adult. If it's Rimuru, you will surely be okay. Let's defeat him and quickly call Rimuru back here. Ramirez shouted. Stern returned to Milim's eye as she heard those words. Yeah, you are right. Let's do it, Ramirez. Yup. The two made their decision. Milim stood up once more with renewed strength. Even Gaia, who was on her shoulder, glared at Yuki too. Next to Milim stood Ramirez, who had grown into a beautiful adult. Her hair, which changed color to rainbow colored, spread out wide as she focused her consciousness to activate the primitive magic that could modify the laws of the world. As for the other people, guess we have no other choice but to do it. He looks like an unbelievable beast. But it will be quite fun to go out seriously if this is our last after all. Hehehe, it's really been a while, guy. I wouldn't leave your side until the end. Phew. Even though I especially got revived and wanted to see what the world was like now. Well, it can't be helped as things turned out this way, Belgrind. If you survive, will you show me the world then? Rudra, you idiot! searching for a reincarnation is more important than the world. And also, I think you should realize that you didn't get revived, you know? It's impossible for Rimuru-san to be defeated, but let's hold the fort in his absence. Yeah, Sensei might have some ulterior motive, but it won't be useless if we defeat him. Each of them said their respective thoughts and all together faced Yuki. Then, they unleashed their deadly attacks filled with the entire beings towards Yuki. Everything was as Yuki expected. Right now, Yuki could use all skills because of origin skill, information ruler Akashi record. In other words, he could even devour energy completely using gluttonous Lord Beelzebub. Yuki sprouted a dark smile as the mass of energy enough to destroy the world was approaching in front of him.